Hello Absurdisan and welcome back to the Manor Bar. Now the eagle-eyed among you may notice that something's changed, something's a little different. And you'd be right, we are now located in my kitchen. My wonderful... it's not very big, but it does the job. I relocated into here so that I could actually show the making of the cocktails that I drink. Thought it'd be a bit more instructional than me just having a bit of a booze up. Of course, I'll still tackle the hard-hitting news, or at least the news that is of interest to me, and so without further ado, I think it's time we delved right in. The drink I'm going to be making today is the Striker Eureka. Yes, it's another Pacific Rim drink. The Australian Jaeger, which was the last of the Mark V's and was the fastest Jaeger ever built, had some awesome anti-kaiju chest missiles that did stuff. Again, found this recipe on Tumblr, and there will be a link in the description below if you like what you see. But, let's go and make this thing. You need some kind of mixer. I've got one here. It's one with a load of fancy rotating things that shows you ingredients, but I don't need that. Useless, don't need that bit. You'll need 1 measure of vodka. You'll need 1 measure of Malibu rum. 2 measures of white wine. Should really be Australian wine to keep in theme with the whole thing, but I just got some lovely Chablis. And then we're going to dive into our fridge for the orange juice that we need. Now you need about 4 measures of orange juice, or pretty much just fill it up. And if you're feeling a bit risky, you can always give it a splash of absinthe to spice it up a bit. Ooh, okay. And then it's time to give it a good shake together. Then get yourself a glass, pour it in, and enjoy. Now let's see how good this is. Wow, that is delicious. No, seriously, I expected this to be a lot more potent, but that's actually really not bad. Definitely got my seal of approval on that one. And now moving on from our Australian Jaeger-themed beverage onto some Australian news. It turns out that Saints Row 4 has again been denied a ranking in Australia. Now Saints Row 4, for those who may not know, is a batshit insane game following on from Saints Row 3, in which your gang leader has somehow risen to the rank of President of the United States, and you have superpowers, and there's an alien invasion, and it's all pretty insane. Now Saints Row 4 was already declined a rating by Australia due to the inclusion of sexually explicit content not justified by context. This is thought to be in reference to an anal probe gun that is available in the game. They also cite the inclusion of drugs and illicit substances as incentives or rewards, which goes against the guidelines that they work to. Now the game that was reviewed again recently was exactly the same game that was denied the first time, so really it's no big surprise that it was denied again. But Volition are now going to rework some of the code to try and make it fall within the Australian ratings guidelines, so that Australia has a version of the game that they can play. It should be noted now that Australia did introduce an R18+ rating in January of this year, and Saints Row 4 has now become the first game under those ratings to be denied a ranking at all. And this news comes as a bit of a disappointment because Australians have traditionally had a lot of issues with games involving explicit content. There have been heavy restrictions on such content in games in the past, which led to some games not being able to be released in the country at all, most notably the original Mortal Kombat. And many Australians have taken to importing games from elsewhere so that they can actually play them either in the unedited versions that other countries are getting, or so that they can play them at all. And this just means that we'll have to see if Volition is able to come up with a workaround or rework whatever offensive material that the Australians rating board didn't like, and see if they can make a game that is actually sellable in Australia. Which I really hope happens, because Saints Row 3 was a fantastic game, and Saints Row 4 looks like it's just going to be absolutely insane. and I would hate to think of anyone missing out on that because of their country's weird censorship laws on video games. So here's to you, Australia. It seems that you can make amazing kaiju-beating robots, but when it comes to game censorship, you go a little ways to go. So I'm Rich Perry. Check the video description for a link to the recipe of the drink I'm drinking, and I will see you guys in the next Mana Bar. Have a good one.